trying to figure out how to say our arc. Our arc.
Our arc.
Our arc. We're Jeff and Amy, and our family is converting a 1994 Bluebird school bus into an RV. In our last video, we installed the 3/4 inch tongue and groove knotty pine ceiling. This really started to make the bus come together. All right, so we got our stud walls in for the bathroom. We're gonna put on some tongue and groove pine just to kind of trim it out, make it look a little bit like shiplap. And it also uses up a bunch of our end cuts from our pine ceiling. Tilt the camera up though.
Oh, funny. Are we down? Okay, so we've gotten most of the way up the wall. Now we're to the tedious part of cutting the lovely all the different angles. Sorry, the light's coming in the way here. But we are kind of doing it slowly but surely. We'll get there. Okay, go ahead.
The wall's finished. This is what it's gonna look like.
Ah,
It's lovely.
very nice.
Super decorative, yeah. All right, so we're doing the plywood wall, and since we've got our curve and weird angles and our switch blocks, we made another template out of the door skin. So we just took the door skin, ripped it down into strips, put points on it, and so the door skin is glued up exactly where it needs to be, and then each point up here represents a reference point on the ceiling, and then it's just a straight line in between each points as we go down the wall. So let's cut out our piece of plywood.
Let's do it.
There you go.
So we are getting our pattern placed on our sheet of plywood. Our walls are 1/2 inch. So we're just gonna trace
All the points.
yeah. Okay. Pattern.
And then we just connected the dots of our points. And that tells us our arc.
Tells us our point.
Tells us our arc.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out how to say our arc. Our arc.
Our arc.
Our arc. All right.
Wall's going on. Wow.
First try.
Yeah.
Boom.
Look at that. The top.
All right, so we've had top.
That looks really good.
To make sure that we've got our smooth transition, I've got to fair all of these studs that we put on, because whether they rocked or a little bit different in size, we need to make sure that we don't have a big step up from one stud to the other. So we're gonna go ahead and plane those down. Make sure they're nice and fair so we don't get any odd bubbles in our So there you can see we've got a nice rock between the two, so we've got to fair that down. Probably need to fair down this upper one. And now, no more rock. Just like that. Now we're ready to make our pattern. We'll put our pattern up on the wall to get exactly all the right angles and measurements, and then cut out our piece of plywood. So to make our template, what we're going to do is we're going to take our 1/8 inch door skin that we've cut into strips, and we just kind of rough cut it to fit the space. Instead of using staples, I like to just put a little dab of hot glue on the wall. And I put my strip up in place, right up against where we want the finish edge to be. Press that into the hot glue so it stays there. Maybe it stays there.
So cold.
It's so cold, the hot glue dries too fast.
Yeah.
Or cools too fast. So that one needs to bow up a little bit?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Well, but it's
This guy.
so, yeah.
I need to chisel that out.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Here's the knife. Yeah, because we don't want it to be skewed.
All right, so we've got our top piece of pattern in. Now we're gonna come to a corner, so we're just gonna put a little bit of glue on our next piece of pattern material. We're gonna hold this right close to the wall and glue it to the top piece of pattern. Just like that. And that gets us our exact angle of the wall perfectly.
When we were younger, we used to sit on the grass among the flowers. We just let the days pass by. People would tell us to get a grip of ourselves and get a job. We didn't care what we were told, 'cause when we were younger, we used to sit on the grass and go, damn, I don't wanna grow old. I wish I could turn back time. Stay up all night singing songs on the terrace. We didn't mind sitting out in the cold. It was impossible to make us embarrassed. We were free. Do you remember stealing smokes from your parents? Sometimes we got a bit out of control.
Over the years of working on old houses and now building this bus, I've learned the hard way that nothing is square, nothing is plumb. So instead of measuring and cutting, and then cutting a little bit more, and cutting a little bit more, pattern making has quickly become my favorite way to make paneling. The tiny expense in extra material more than pays for itself in the ability to make the pattern, cut once, and have it fit perfectly.
If I could go back, be 17 again, yeah, I would, just to see all my friends running around the city, acting crazy like we used to do. I wish I could turn back time Stay up all night singing songs on the terrace. We didn't mind sitting out in the cold. It wasn't possible to make us embarrassed. We were free. Do you remember stealing smokes from your parents? Sometimes we got a bit out of control. When they found out we ran from home just to scare them, we were free. When we were 17. When we were 17. When we were younger, we used to sit on the grass and go, damn, I don't wanna grow old. Stay up all night singing songs on the terrace. We didn't mind sitting out in the cold. It wasn't possible to make us embarrassed. We were free. Do you remember stealing smokes from your parents? Sometimes we got a bit out of control. When they found out we ran from home just to scare them, we were free. When we were 17. When we were 17.
Everything seems to be charged by a USB plug these days, even my toothbrush. So as we planned out the bus, we wanted to make sure that we had 120 volt outlets anywhere we think we might need one. And along with that, we wanted to install USB ports for charging. Because even though it's a small amount of power, it just didn't seem very efficient to take our 12 volt batteries, convert that to 120 volts, and then convert that back down to 5 volts with a power block to plug a USB into. So everywhere we could, we tried to put a USB outlet near the 120 volt outlet. There's a hidden lock nut on the back of all of our USB plugs. So we had to install the plugs prior to installing the wall panels. This made it necessary to pre-paint around each plug so that once installed we didn't have to paint carefully around it. All of our USB outlets are fused at the distribution panel. So as we installed our wall panels, we just had to connect the USB plug to the 12 volt wires that we ran before the spray foam. Whenever I make connections, and especially when they're hidden behind a wall, I like to use the butt connectors that have the heat shrink glue built into them. It just makes me feel a whole lot better as I button up the wall. This particular wall panel was a perfect example of why we loved making patterns. We could make a pattern, cut the panel, and have it install perfectly the first time without having to try it, pull it back out, cut a little bit more off, only to find out that one of our angles was off.